Well, when I first came to Maketewah, I was really entranced by the way the land affected the golf holes, the way the golf holes tumbled up and down over the land, but were much more playable than I expected a course with this unique topography to be. I think what I really admire is folks like Bendelow and Ross got the routing absolutely sound, an important first step. I don't think a golf course can be great without a great routing. Then they did the second step, the stuff we think of, how they like to place their bunkers, how they like to detail their bunkers, how they like to detail their greens. And you really don't get a great golf course unless they get those two critical components correct. So they got it right. And I especially could see this. It wasn't still on the ground. It had been changed. But in looking at the aerial photographs, I could see they'd gotten the bunker placement correct, so that each hole was a unique journey all itself. And you had to stand on the tee and kind of chart your course. The land had great character, but I really looked at from the front of the forward tee to the front of the green as a clean palette. And I like that. It allows me to really try to make strategic design changes in a golf course. Well, they're going to notice there's more bunkers, obviously, and but there were more bunkers during the golden age of golf than it was in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s when they'd been taken out. In the vintage style, some of the fairway bunkers are more perpendicular to the shot. They're more testing. Every once in a while, they won't be able to hit for the green. I think some of the bunkers are going to play a little bit more difficultly, but I'm hard-pressed to not say that's part of golf. We're trying to put a little movement into these bunker faces so that they capture people's attention and hopefully capture their fancy, that they're assisting in the site's drama and beauty. Some of the ups and downs and how they're used, I just find very inspiring. Obviously, the 11th hole, which had multiple routes of play originally, because there were bunkers. They weren't even filled in, they were just grassed in on the left side among some of the trees. And it would suggest that those trees had not been here for hundreds of years, but the bunkers were here from day one. That provided a great setting for those bunkers. It was an upslope, and just by excavating a hole into that upslope, you made a bunker. 14 has got a great downslope that's right in the landing area. So people can use that to give them a kick further down the fairway and improve their chances for success on that par 5. I also really like 16's fairway. You play 16 that's uphill and you're kind of sweating and wiping your brow after that, and then you go right into 17, which is decidedly downhill. So the course has a really delightful ebb and flow, which is another part of a route plan. It's not just the route plan that uses the land to its best advantage. It's a route plan that creates variety and ebb and flow during the round. A harder hole or a couple harder holes followed by an easier hole or two, and then a moderate hole. I think there's really great variety. And the sequencing, to me, is really impressive at Maketewah. I never feel bored when I'm at Maketewah, and all I do is think about how I would play it. And there's just awesome variety. Again, some demanding shots, some easy shots, and some manageable shots. That's what a course should do. The least aware among us will see a dramatic change on the 11th hole, but it's not a change. It's restoring what was there originally. Obviously, the left route, which players can now take, not only on their drive, but on their second shot or their approach shot to the green. Everyone will notice that. I think the changes on 3 are really appropriate. It was hard to see the landing areas. There was quite a lot of excavation work between the tees and the fairway to get the fairway's visibility the way we wanted it. Number 6, the green had been redone at some time in history. And a lot of the Maketewah greens are typical vintage greens. They sit up a little bit above the surrounds, and bunkers are cut into the side slopes. That's what I call high greens, low surrounds. And when that green was rebuilt, it was made into low green, high surrounds. So we wanted to get that green up in the air a little bit, and there's a real tight pin position back right. But there's a terrace slope in the green that's there for one reason: to let you take the bunker out of play, having to hit a very precise shot out of play, and roll the ball down the terrace slope to the pin. I'm going to really look forward to seeing play someday when people do that. I think sometimes it's a feature, it's topography, like the huge kick slope on 3. But I think other times it's just the player reading. Where could I roll the ball onto the green? What side of the fairway do I have to be on? How do I do what Hogan said? Golf is a game best played when you think one shot ahead. How do I set up an easier next shot? So I think there's a lot of that. We saved a lot of the things that we had that were great, and we've, they say update a lot. And I always say, no, we didn't update the course. We backdated the course. This is more like your course was in the 20s and 30s. I just think it will be a more fun golf course, a more aesthetically pleasing golf course. They'll have alternate routes. They'll need to rethink how they approach it. I have to give the folks at Maketewah credit. They take a leap of faith in these situations. You know, the easiest thing to do would have been to do nothing. Just leave it like it is. But they knew there was disguised greatness in the golf course. They knew it could be more interesting, and they did it.